You open the fridge door, and without even noticing, your cat is already sitting right behind you, waiting to see what you'll pull out. You walk into the bathroom, and without making a sound, it shows up behind you. You switch rooms, and a few seconds later you hear its little paws following you. If your cat does this, it's not random or a quirk. Cats almost never act without a reason. Today we're going to go through the real reasons behind this super common behavior, and some of them might surprise you. If you enjoy relaxed videos about cats, hit like and subscribe to the channel. Reason 1. It chose you as its person. The idea that cats are cold and independent is one of the most repeated myths out there, and also one of the most false. A cat can form an incredibly deep bond with its human. It just expresses it differently than a dog would. No jumping, no barking, just a quiet but constant presence. For a cat, home is its entire universe, and the person it trusts becomes the center of that universe. That's why many cats want to be close by almost all the time, not because they need something material, but because your presence calms them down. In the wild, a cat never fully lowers its guard. Even the most pampered house cat still carries that alertness instinct. When it's near someone it trusts, that instinct relaxes. If you're calm, it understands there's no danger. This becomes more noticeable during moments of change, a move, guests at home, new noises. That's when many cats start sticking even closer to their trusted person, almost as if to say, if you're not worried, neither am I. It's also interesting that in multi-person households, the cat almost always picks one favorite. Everyone might feed it, but only one person gets greeted at the door. Only one gets slept next to. Only one gets followed around the whole apartment. Some cats show this quietly, just lying nearby and watching. Others are much more expressive, rubbing against you, purring, hopping onto your lap, or reaching out with a paw. If your cat follows you around all day, it's probably placed you in a very special spot. It's safe person. Here's an interesting fact that backs this up. Studies on feline attachment show patterns similar to those seen in young children with their caregivers. A cat with a secure bond explores more confidently when its person is nearby, and becomes more cautious when that person is away. It's no coincidence that so many cats choose to stay in the same room as you, even without directly interacting. Simply sharing the same space is already part of the bond. Reason 2. It's calculating mealtime. Sometimes the reason is much more down to earth. Food. In the wild, cats eat small portions several times a day, so hunting, tracking, and searching for food takes up a huge chunk of their day. That instinct stays fully intact in an indoor cat, even when meals show up ready-made. That's why many cats memorize your routine with astonishing precision. They know roughly when you wake up, they recognize the sound of a cupboard opening, and they can detect a bag of kibble from clear across the house. Some start following you minutes before their usual feeding time. The pattern usually repeats itself. The cat appears out of nowhere, rubs against your legs, meows a bit louder than usual, and the moment you head toward where its food is kept, it picks up the pace. Interestingly, it's not always actually hungry. Often it's pure routine. Cats love repetition, and if they've eaten around the same time for months, their body starts expecting it almost like clockwork. Some cats are particularly clever. They learn which behaviors get results. One will purr sweetly next to the bowl, another will tap you with a paw, and some, unfortunately for us, learn that knocking things off shelves or running around at 6 in the morning also works, simply because it got them food before. This behavior tends to intensify in bored cats, especially ones that never go outside. If the day doesn't offer much stimulation, mealtime becomes the most exciting event of the day. That's why many behaviorists recommend not limiting a cat's life to the food bowl. Toys, scratching posts, interactive food dispensers, and windows to watch the outside world all help keep its attention from revolving entirely around food. Another interesting fact: a cat's sense of smell is far more sensitive than ours, so it can pick up on tiny changes in the smell of its food or the exact moment you open the bag, even from another room. That's why it sometimes seems like it just knows when you're about to feed it, when really, it simply smells it before you've even noticed. Reason 3. It's looking for fun and stimulation. When you move around the house, that can look like the start of something interesting to your cat. Many cats follow you simply because they're bored and want something to happen. It's common for a cat to dive under the sheets right when you're trying to make the bed, or decide the keyboard is the best possible spot the moment you sit down to work. For us, it can be annoying, but for the cat, it's a way to break up the monotony of the day and, conveniently, grab your attention. Some become real experts at triggering a reaction, knocking a pen off the table, sprinting down the hallway at midnight, or hiding behind furniture to pounce on your feet. This shows up more in young cats or particularly active breeds, which need more stimulation and get bored faster. There's also a bit of hunting partner energy in this behavior. When you walk through the house, the cat interprets it as the start of some activity, so it runs ahead of you, watches from around a corner, or wags its tail energetically, expecting something exciting to happen. This kind of following tends to ramp up in the evening, when many cats get a natural burst of energy after hours of napping. That's when they'll accompany you the most, literally, step by step. The most effective fix? Play with them every day, even if it's just 10 minutes with a wand toy or a ball. Giving them scratching posts, climbing shelves, and tunnels also makes a huge difference, because a cat with an occupied mind needs to monitor your every move a lot less. It's also worth mentioning that breed plays a role in energy levels. Cats like the Bengal, Abyssinian, or Siamese tend to be much more active and demanding of stimulation than calmer breeds like the Persian or British Shorthair. If you have a particularly intelligent breed, it's normal for it to follow you more often. It simply has more energy and curiosity to burn. Reason 4. It just wants to be close. Some cats don't follow their human for food or boredom. They simply need the company. This surprises a lot of people, because for years the story was that cats aren't interested in people the way dogs are. The reality is different. Many cats form deep attachments. They just show it much more subtly. A cat doesn't always need constant petting or play. Sometimes your presence alone is enough. That's why it sits nearby while you watch a movie, lies down a few feet away while you work, or simply sleeps in the same room you're in. For a cat, that shared presence is an essential part of the bond. Many cats also develop their own little rituals. One always waits outside the bathroom door. Another sits by the bed every morning. Some keep watch while you work, or lie down next to you at the same time every night. That predictability gives them comfort. They know their person is close and everything is fine. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, now's a great time to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss upcoming videos about cat behavior. Reason 5. It's reading your mood. Cats are remarkably good at reading human emotions and routines. They quickly pick up on your daily rhythm, recognize the way you walk, your voice, even the sounds tied to your everyday activities. That's why some cats start following their person more closely right when they sense a shift in mood. They come closer when you're sad or tired, sit beside you, watch quietly, or start purring. For a lot of owners, those moments feel almost magical. It really seems like the cat is trying to be there for you during a hard moment. There are also cats that handle long stretches of solitude very poorly. If you're out of the house for many hours, when you get back, the cat might not leave your side for a second. It follows you from room to room, demands contact, or just watches your every move, as if trying to make up for the time it spent alone. One important clarification: if your cat is healthy, calm, and otherwise behaving normally, following you around the house almost always just means a strong bond and a sense of security. There's a reason people say, the cat chooses its human. When it truly trusts someone, it wants to be near that person almost every day. Reason 6. It's feeling anxious or stressed. Sometimes the reason behind this behavior is more delicate: anxiety. Even though it's not always obvious at first glance, cats can be very sensitive to stress, and even small changes in routine can affect their behavior. A move, loud guests, another cat lurking outside, construction noise, or simply a disruption to the usual schedule can all trigger this need to keep close watch on their person. An insecure cat usually looks for refuge in whatever place or person gives it the greatest sense of safety, which is why it follows you nearly everywhere. The moment you disappear into another room, it goes after you. If you close a door, it sits right in front of it or starts meowing. It can look sweet or funny, but sometimes it's actually a sign that the cat is struggling with loneliness or stress in an unhealthy way. This shows up most strongly in cats that are very attached to one specific person. They react to every movement, tense up the second you get off the couch, and some become louder or more restless, while others withdraw and turn extra cautious. This kind of anxiety often appears after big changes in the cat's life. After an adoption, for example, the animal arrives in an unfamiliar place, unable to recognize the smells or sounds around it, so it clings to the one person it's slowly starting to trust. Something similar happens with cats that experienced abandonment or spent a long time in a shelter. They tend to attach much more intensely because their caregiver's presence becomes something deeply comforting. There are also cats that really struggle with the moment their person leaves the house. Something as simple as putting on shoes or grabbing your keys can make the cat start following you faster and more anxiously. Some sit by the door, others try to stop you, and some keep meowing long after you've gone. In these cases, routine is key. Fixed feeding times, a calm tone of voice, consistent daily rituals. For an anxious cat, predictability equals safety, and often just your calm presence, sitting nearby, petting it gently, speaking softly, is enough to help it start to relax. Reason 7. It's how it explores the world. There's one last very interesting reason, and a lot of people don't realize how common it actually is. Pure curiosity. What feel like boring, automatic tasks to us, making coffee, opening a drawer, moving a bag from one room to another, can be fascinating to a cat because it's constantly observing its surroundings. This is an animal that survived for thousands of years thanks to exactly that kind of constant attention. The smallest movement, an odd sound, a new smell, something dropping to the floor, all of it can grab its interest in a split second. In a way, the cat treats the house as its territory, and since you're the one moving through that territory and occasionally rearranging things, the cat wants to stay in the loop. That's why so many cats show up instantly the moment you open a closet, pull out a suitcase, or move a piece of furniture. To them, that could be the start of something worth investigating. Some cats are true household inspectors. When you come home with grocery bags, they appear right next to them instantly. When you open a new box, they're already sitting beside it before you've even set it down. When you change the sheets, they suddenly materialize on the bed, watching your every move. It might look like coincidence, but really, they're tracking everything you do very closely. This shows up with the vacuum cleaner too. Some cats bolt in a panic, others watch from a safe distance without ever stopping their surveillance. Cooking triggers something similar. The kitchen is full of sounds, smells, and motion, so many cats love sitting nearby to watch every step. Some even learn to anticipate routines. If you head to the kitchen every morning right after turning off the alarm, over time your cat will start reacting to the alarm sound itself. This shows just how attentive cats really are, even though it seems like they sleep all day. In reality, they're constantly analyzing their environment, listening for sounds, recognizing routines, and picking up on the smallest changes. And there's one more thing. Cats love controlling their space. When they follow you, they're often doing a walkthrough of the whole house at the same time, glancing into rooms, checking windows, sniffing new objects. It's almost like they're doing a daily patrol of their territory, with you as the excuse. So if your cat is like a little shadow that shows up at every turn, now you know. It could be love, hunger, boredom, curiosity, or sometimes a bit of anxiety. What matters is looking at the full picture of its behavior, along with its other signals, how it eats, how it sleeps, how it interacts with you overall. If something changes suddenly, it's always a good idea to check in with a vet. Just to rule anything out, but in most cases, a cat that follows you around the house is simply saying, in its own quiet way, that it trusts you and likes being close. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments which of these reasons sounds most like your cat. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.